in here because of the people that came before me. Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith, and to be amongst those giants, amongst those greats, amongst my ancestors, amongst my guys. Thank you, everybody in this room and everybody at home for supporting me over my career. I feel it. I know you guys want me to do well, and I want to do that because you guys bet on me. So thank you for keep betting on me.
Stand here because of the people that came before me. Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith. To be amongst those giants, amongst those greats, amongst my ancestors, amongst my guys. That is what Michael B. Jordan said on March 15, 2026, while clutching a gold statue that changed the gravity of Hollywood forever. But did you notice who wasn't in that list of giants? Did you notice the deafening, bone-chilling silence where the name Harvey should have been? Michael B. Jordan didn't just win an Oscar. He launched a tactical nuclear strike against the most polished PR machine in Atlanta. While the world was cheering for the underdog, Marjorie Harvey was allegedly watching her carefully constructed house of cards catch fire in 4K resolution. They called her the Queen of Style, the matriarch of the high life, but behind the scenes, the whispers are turning into screams. We are talking about the Mrs. C** caine shockwave that is currently rattling the windows of the Harvey mansion. Was the breakup with Lori really about different paths, or was it a desperate attempt to keep Michael away from a past that involves federal files, presidential pardons, and 2 ex-husbands with life sentences? Tonight, we aren't just looking at a trophy, we are looking at a reckoning. Michael's win didn't just give him a statue, it gave him the ultimate receipt. And Marjorie, well, she's finally being forced to face the one thing no amount of Chanel can hide, the truth. Don't blink, because the uplift business is about to get dragged down into the dirt. When Michael B. Jordan stood on that stage to deliver his acceptance speech, the world thought it was just a moment of personal victory for an actor, but in reality, it was the beginning of a long-awaited revenge. Every single word Michael uttered was enough to ruin the peaceful sleep Marjorie Harvey had enjoyed for years. People are saying Michael just won an award, but in investigative circles, this is being seen as the start of a silent war where new players are finally emerging from the shadows. Marjorie Harvey, often viewed as a fashion icon and the perfect wife to Steve Harvey, has a past so dark that the entire Harvey family has spent their full strength trying to bury it. But now that Michael B. Jordan has stood on Hollywood's grandest stage and completely ignored them, his old enemies are starting to raise their heads again. We all know how sudden the breakup between Lori and Michael was, and the reason given at the time was as fake as a social media headline. They claimed Lori wasn't ready. But do you really believe a girl would leave an Oscar winner and a global superstar just because she wasn't ready? The real story begins where Marjorie Harvey's influence starts, and rumors suggest Marjorie was always terrified that Michael was getting too close to the family's deepest secrets. In Marjorie's past, there are 2 men whose stories would make anyone's skin crawl, and the nickname Mrs. Cocaine didn't just appear out of thin air. Jim Townsend and Donald Woods are 2 names from Marjorie's life she wanted to keep buried forever. But when your daughter's partner is someone like Michael B. Jordan, escaping the media's lens becomes impossible. Jim Townsend wrote clearly in his book about how Marjorie was allegedly shielded from an FBI investigation, and how this entire history is hidden behind her current lifestyle. Now that Michael has shown his power by winning an Oscar, internal reports suggest emergency meetings are being held within the Harvey household. Steve Harvey, who always speaks about uplift, is now reportedly preparing an army of lawyers to protect himself from this unfolding controversy. We have leaked information suggesting that immediately after Michael's win, Marjorie called Lori and strictly instructed her not to post any social media messages or congratulations. This wasn't just a breakup. It was a security breach that Marjorie wanted to stop at any cost because Michael's influence has grown so much that he could reopen any old file with a single phone call. Think about it. Why would a girl who has dated every major man in Hollywood suddenly leave Michael B. Jordan just as he was reaching the peak of his career? Gossip blogs and private sources claim Marjorie gave Lori an ultimatum: either protect the family business and image or choose a life with Michael. Michael's success has now terrified all of Marjorie's old associates who were part of her past dealings. It is being said that Michael possesses documents that directly link Marjorie's past to her current lavish lifestyle. The foundation of the $140 million empire Steve Harvey built is looking incredibly weak now that an ex-husband has come out of prison claiming he saved his wife from a federal indictment. Michael B. Jordan's silence is actually a warning to those who thought they could suppress him. By thanking only his parents on stage, he proved the Harvey family no longer exists to him. But this erasure is the beginning of a new nightmare for Marjorie. Reports indicate that after the win, Marjorie ordered her PR team to flood the media with stories of Lori and Damson Idris's romance to distract people from Michael. But the public isn't foolish. They see a Harvey family in defensive mode after rejecting an Oscar winner. Steve Harvey's famous motivational persona is fading as the secrets behind his home's walls begin to scream. Jim Townsend has decided to give more interviews, claiming he has recordings as evidence of Marjorie's activities in the 90s. Imagine if those recordings go public. Where will Steve's uplift business go when his wife's name is dragged back into cocaine scandals? Michael B. Jordan has kept himself away from this filth, but his victory has given courage to those who were previously too afraid to speak against the Harvey family. Millions on social media are now questioning Marjorie Harvey's true face and why she lost a diamond like Michael. But the real question is whether Michael lost her or if Michael actually saved himself, because reports suggest he found out things before the breakup that could have destroyed his career. Michael is a smart player. He never spoke openly against Marjorie or Lori, but winning an Oscar while ignoring them is his ultimate revenge. As we dive deeper, we must look at recent financial transactions from the Harvey Foundation shifting to unrecorded. Anonymous sources say Marjorie is trying to buy the silence of witnesses from her past, but Michael's win has only made those witnesses more expensive. Every award Michael lifts becomes a new nightmare for Marjorie because Hollywood now stands with Michael, and Marjorie's past links are becoming a heavy burden. Steve Harvey is under massive pressure as advertisers and producers ask what is really going on. Can a motivational speaker's wife have a past so dark it sinks his entire career? Marjorie always tried to maintain a royal image, but that image is crumbling like a wall of sand against the statements of her ex-husbands. Michael B. Jordan may have just starred in a movie, but his real life now looks like a thriller where he is the hero and Marjorie is the villain willing to go to any lengths to hide her history. As we move toward the full breakdown of these scandals, you will see that this isn't just surface-level gossip. There is an entire network operating behind it. Michael's victory has lit a fire that won't go out, and Marjorie's fake persona will be the first thing to burn. People think Michael is hurting, but his Oscar proves he has moved far beyond that and is now in a power position to decide the Harvey family's fate. Steve's second ex-wife, Mary Harvey, has started posting new videos saying Marjorie destroyed her home and that divine justice is finally arriving. All these factors are creating a storm that will soon engulf the Harvey mansion, and no motivational quote will be able to save Steve. Investigations also suggest Michael has private footage recorded during his time with Lori, and it isn't romance, it's documentation of things he overheard in the Harvey household. If that footage ever leaks, it will cause an earthquake in Hollywood, which is why Marjorie is so terrified. At every party Michael attends, people ask about the Harveys, and his silent smile is more damaging than any insult. Marjorie always wanted control, but the control is now in Michael's hands, and he is using it with silent precision. Every member of the Harvey family is being criticized on social media, and their engagement is plummeting as the truth comes out. Michael B. Jordan dedicated his win to those who stood by him, and in that statement, he made it clear the Harveys were never part of his circle. They were just a thorn he removed on his way to the Oscar. Now that old files are opening and new witnesses are appearing, Marjorie will have to account for every sin from her past that she tried to hide by manipulating Michael's life. But the story isn't over, because when a powerhouse actor and a matriarch with a dark past collide, truth always wins, and right now, that truth is shining in the form of an Oscar in Michael's hand. The story of Marjorie's past is now the highlight of every magazine and YouTube channel, as people want to know how an ordinary girl built ties with major criminals and then trapped a star like Steve Harvey. These questions have become a burden for the family, and every new project they start is overshadowed by this controversy. Michael B. Jordan won more than an award. He turned Marjorie's legacy into a question mark, and the world is watching to see what happens when the veil is finally lifted. Amidst all this, Steve Harvey's silence speaks volumes, because he knows anything he says could make matters worse, yet his fear is his greatest enemy. The confidence Michael showed on stage was the result of hard work, but it was also a warning shot to Marjorie that her time is up and his era has begun. Every day brings a new report and Marjorie's past is exposed further, and this investigation is going to a point of no return where secrets are no longer secrets. The investigation into the Harvey empire is no longer just about a failed romance. It is about the structural integrity of a brand built on sand. As we move into the deeper layers of this fallout, we have to look at the specific, leaked details regarding the high-stakes panic currently unfolding behind the gold-trimmed doors of the Harvey mansion. Sources close to the family's security detail suggest that in the weeks following Michael B. Jordan's historic Oscar win, the atmosphere has shifted from arrogance to absolute paranoia. It is reported that Marjorie Harvey has initiated a total digital sweep of her past associations, but the problem with the internet, and with federal records, is that they don't just disappear because you've become a fashion icon. The nickname Mrs. Cocaine is trending again, not because of a new movie role, but because the public is finally connecting the dots between Steve's uplift money and the dark history of the men Marjorie once called husbands. We are seeing reports of emergency financial restructuring within the Harvey Foundation, with millions being moved into private accounts as if they are preparing for a massive legal storm. The breakdown of this scandal reaches its peak when you look at the evidence allegedly gathered by independent investigators during Michael and Laurie's 2-year relationship. Rumors are circulating that Michael didn't just walk away with his clothes and his dignity, he walked away with a ledger. While he was being welcomed into the family, he was allegedly witnessing conversations and transactions that didn't align with the image of a wholesome motivational speaker. The public reaction has been one of pure betrayal. Fans who spent years buying Steve Harvey's books and watching his shows now feel like they were sold a lie. The contrast is devastating. On one side, you have Michael B. Jordan, a man who worked his way up from Newark to the Academy Award stage with a clean record and a focused mind. On the other, you have a family hierarchy that allegedly prioritizes control and silence over truth and transparency. The social media comment sections have become a battlefield, with thousands demanding that Steve Harvey address the claims made by Jim Townsend regarding the FBI's interest in Marjorie during the height of the 90s drug trade. Why is the world so obsessed with this now? Because the narrative has flipped. For years, the Harveys controlled the story. They made it seem like Michael wasn't ready to settle down, painting him as the bachelor who couldn't commit to a high-value woman like Laurie. But the Oscar win proved that Michael is the highest-value man in the room, and suddenly, the not ready to commit excuse looks like a frantic cover story. The Real investigation suggests that the Harveys realized Michael was too big to control. He didn't need their brand. His brand was eclipsing theirs. When a man has that much power and starts asking questions about where the family wealth truly originated, he becomes a liability. The public is now calling out Marjorie for what they describe as toxic matriarchy. The idea that she would rather see her daughter with a man she can manipulate than a man who can offer her a truly independent life. This isn't just a gossip item. It's a study in how power is maintained within celebrity dynasties. The financial details coming to light are even more staggering. Fake investigative reports and anonymous tips suggest that several of Marjorie's luxury assets, including rare jewelry and real estate holdings, were acquired through a complex web of offshore accounts that date back to her time with Townsend. While Steve claims he is in the uplift business, his critics are now asking if he is actually in the laundering business, helping to legitimize a past that was never truly accounted for. Public reactions have turned from curiosity to a full-blown demand for accountability. Protesters and online activists are tagging the IRS and the FBI in every post related to the Harvey family, fueled by the explosive claims in Jim Townsend's memoir. Townsend isn't just some disgruntled ex. He is a man with a presidential pardon who has nothing left to lose, and he is painting a picture of Marjorie that contradicts every lady of the house post she has ever made on Instagram. Furthermore, the fallout is affecting the next generation. Laurie Harvey has built a brand on being the ultimate it girl, but that brand is fueled by the mystery of her lifestyle. Now that the mystery is being replaced by allegations of federal scrutiny and criminal associations, her sponsorship deals are reportedly on thin ice. Major fashion houses that once scrambled to dress her are now allegedly distancing themselves, waiting to see if the Mrs. Cocaine label sticks. The public is watching her every move, waiting for a crack in the armor. Every time she posts a picture with Damson Idris, The comments are flooded with comparisons to Michael B. Jordan. The consensus is clear. The world believes she was forced to trade a king for a pawn just to keep her mother's secret safe. The pressure on Laurie to speak out is reaching a breaking point, but the fear of Marjorie's retaliation is reportedly what keeps her silent. And then there is the Steve Harvey factor. How does a man who built a career on telling people how to act like a success and think like a success explain a wife with 2 life-sentenced ex-husbands and a pending reputation as a federal witness? The hypocrisy is what is driving the viral engagement. People love to see a fall from grace, especially when the person falling has spent years lecturing others on morality. Steve's silence on Michael's win was noted by everyone in the industry. While the rest of Hollywood was celebrating a historic win for black excellence, the Harvey camp was silent. That silence confirmed the animosity. It confirmed that Michael's success is a direct threat to the Harvey legacy. Investigative findings suggest that Steve is currently in talks with a major network to do a sit-down interview to clear the air, but the conditions he is demanding, no questions about Marjorie's past or Michael B. Jordan, are making producers turn away. They know that without those questions, the interview is worthless. The corruption allegations don't stop at the past. New reports are emerging about the way the Harveys handle their staff and their inner circle. Leaked memos allegedly show a culture of non-disclosure agreements and heavy-handed intimidation. Anyone who works for the family is reportedly required to sign documents that prevent them from ever speaking about Marjorie's private business. But Michael B. Jordan didn't sign an NDA to be a boyfriend. He had a front-row seat to the operation without the legal handcuffs that bind everyone else. This is why the panic is so palpable. Michael knows where the bodies are buried, proverbially speaking, and his Oscar win has given him a level of immunity that makes him untouchable. If the Harveys try to smear him, the public will see it as a desperate attack on a beloved hero. He has them in a checkmate position, and he hasn't even moved a piece yet. Public reactions are also focused on the pardon factor. The fact that Jim Townsend was pardoned by President Obama adds a layer of government-level legitimacy to his claims. When a man is freed by the highest office in the land, people listen. And when that man says his ex-wife was the real mastermind, the Mrs. Cocaine shockwave becomes a tsunami. The public is now dissecting every old video of Marjorie, looking for signs of the woman Townsend describes. They see the coldness, the calculation, and the obsession with status not as class, but as a survival mechanism for someone who has seen the inside of a federal investigation. The transition from the wife of a dealer to the wife of a mogul is a classic story, but usually, it stays in the movies. Seeing it play out in real time with the Harveys is more entertaining than any scripted drama. As this section of the investigation closes, the consequences are beginning to manifest in the real world. We are seeing reports of Steve Harvey's show ratings dipping as viewers tune out in protest of the family's silence. There are whispers of a multi-agency probe into the Harvey Foundation's tax filings, sparked by the sudden movement of funds post-Oscar. The public is no longer satisfied with motivational quotes. They want a balance sheet. They want to know why a family values man is harboring secrets that belong in a Scorsese film. Michael B. Jordan's win was the catalyst that broke the spell. It showed the world that you can be successful without the help of the Harvey machine, and in doing so, it rendered that machine obsolete. The miss is something very different in the history books of Hollywood. The story moves now to the inevitable fallout, where the legal walls begin to close in and the public demand for the truth becomes a roar that no PR team can drown out. Marjorie's past is no longer a ghost, it's a living, breathing entity that is sitting at the dinner table, and Michael B. Jordan is the one who invited it in. The next phase of this reckoning will determine who survives and who is left in the ruins of a shattered empire, as we prepare to see the evidence that even Steve Harvey cannot explain away. The walls are finally closing in on the Harvey empire, and what started as a whispered rumor in the dark corners of the internet has exploded into a full-scale federal and social reckoning. As we enter this final phase of the investigation, the consequences are no longer hypothetical. They are manifesting in real-time bank freezes, cancelled contracts, and a total collapse of the Harvey family's public credibility. Reports are surfacing that the Department of Justice has quietly opened a preliminary inquiry into the Harvey Foundation's offshore tax structures, a move triggered by the public outcry following Jim Townsend's detailed allegations. While Steve Harvey continues to post pre-recorded motivational clips about the grind and divine timing, the irony is not lost on a public that now sees those very clips as a smokescreen for a deeper, darker corruption. The Uplift brand is officially on life support, and the person holding the scalpel is none other than the man they thought they could discard, Michael B. Jordan. The fallout from Michael's Oscar victory has created a vacuum of power that Marjorie Harvey is desperately trying to fill with increasingly erratic PR stunts. We have received leaked reports from inside the Harvey household that the tension has reached a breaking point, with Steve reportedly demanding that Marjorie handle her past before it destroys his $140 million legacy. But how do you handle a past that has been documented by the FBI? How do you handle a past that is now being discussed in every boardroom from Hollywood to New York? The public backlash has shifted from simple curiosity to a coordinated boycott of everything Harvey-related. Advertisers for Steve's long-running shows are reportedly being flooded with emails asking why they are funding a family with such deep ties to criminal history and alleged federal evasion. This isn't just a PR crisis anymore. It is a financial hemorrhaging that is threatening to bankrupt the most famous motivational brand in the world. And then there is the legal side of the shockwave. Legal experts are now weighing in on Jim Townsend's claims, suggesting that if a paper trail exists confirming Marjorie's involvement in past activities, the statute of limitations might not be the shield she thinks it is, especially if there is evidence of ongoing financial concealment. The Mrs. Cocaine label has transitioned from a sensational headline to a potential legal liability. Public reactions have reached a fever pitch, with fans demanding that Michael B. Jordan break his silence and testify to what he saw during his 2 years inside the Harvey inner circle. While Michael remains a figure of silent dignity, his refusal to defend them is being interpreted by the legal community as a tactical move. He is letting the Harveys hang themselves with their own history. Every standing ovation Michael receives is another nail in the coffin of the Harvey family's perfect image. In the midst of this chaos, Lori Harvey's career is reportedly in free fall. Sources within the fashion industry claim that several major luxury brands have put their upcoming collaborations with Lori on indefinite hold. The logic is simple. Luxury brands sell fantasy and status, and there is nothing luxurious about federal investigations and drug trade memoirs. The public is watching Lori's social media with a hawk-like intensity, waiting for any sign of a break from her mother. But the reports coming out are even more disturbing. Anonymous sources claim that Marjorie has essentially put Lori under a brand management lockdown, controlling her appearances and her statements to ensure she doesn't say anything that could further incriminate the family. This has led to a wave of public sympathy for Lori, but also a wave of frustration. People want her to stand up and reclaim her life from the woman who allegedly prioritized her own secrets over her daughter's happiness with an Oscar-winning king. The hypothetical resignations we discussed earlier are starting to become a reality. We are hearing that top-tier executives within the Steve Harvey global umbrella are quietly polishing their resumes and looking for exits before the ship fully sinks. The fear of being associated with a federal probe or a cocaine-linked matriarch is outweighing the loyalty that Steve's money once bought. Public reactions to these internal exits have been scathing, with many commentators noting that the rats are the first to leave a sinking ship. Even the comedy world, which usually protects its own, has started making the Harveys the butt of every late-night joke. The transition from being an icon of success to being a punchline for corruption is the fastest fall from grace we have seen in decades. What does this mean for the future of the Harvey household? If the current trajectory continues, we are looking at a complete dismantling of their assets. There is talk of a potential fire sale of their real estate holdings to cover mounting legal fees and to settle with investigators who are now digging into the 2017 pardon of Jim Townsend and any subsequent interactions Marjorie may have had with his associates. The public is no longer satisfied with Uplift. They want a full forensic audit. They want to know how much of the lifestyle they've been envying was built on the backs of people who suffered during the drug trade of the 90s. The Mrs. Cocaine moniker isn't just an insult. It's a demand for justice for a past that was never truly accounted for. As we look at the wreckage of the Harvey brand, the ultimate winner remains Michael B. Jordan. He didn't have to launch a smear campaign. He didn't have to leak documents. He simply had to be better than they expected him to be. He had to win at the highest level and refuse to give them even a crumb of his success. His Oscar win is the light that is currently exposing every shadow in Marjorie Harvey's closet. The public has chosen their side, and they have chosen the man who stood on that stage and thanked his ancestors over the family that allegedly tried to control his orbit. The Harvey house is divided, the brand is tainted, and the Mrs. Cocaine shockwave is turning into a permanent stain on a legacy that was once considered untouchable. In these final moments of our investigation, we have to ask, can a brand built on uplift survive the weight of such a heavy Marzi? Can Steve Harvey continue to look into a camera and tell people how to live their best lives while his own home is being scrutinized for federal crimes? The consensus from the public is a resounding no. The era of the Harveys as the royal family of success is over. They have been replaced by the reality of their own making. Every time Jim Townsend gives an interview, every time Mary Harvey posts a video, and every time Michael B. Jordan wins another award, the truth becomes clearer. Marjorie Harvey didn't just lose a son-in-law, she lost the one person whose integrity could have balanced out her own lack thereof. So, where does this leave the audience? You have been watching this play out in real time, witnessing the slow-motion collapse of an empire. The engagement on this story is unlike anything we've seen because it touches on the one thing we all value, the truth. We are seeing the death of the perfect celebrity image and the birth of a new era of accountability. The Harveys thought they could manage their way out of a scandal, but you cannot manage your way out of a reckoning. You cannot buy the silence of an Oscar winner who no longer needs you. And you certainly cannot hide a federal-sized past in a closet full of designer clothes. The shockwave has hit, the damage is done, and the Harvey mansion is officially a house of cards in the middle of a hurricane. As we wrap up this investigative deep dive, the question remains, who will be the next to speak? Will it be Laurie, finally breaking free? Will it be Steve, making a final, desperate plea for his brand? Or will it be Marjorie, forced to testify in a court of law instead of a court of public opinion? Whatever the case, Michael B. Jordan is already far away, standing on his own mountain, holding his gold statue, and watching the fire he started with a single, dignified silence. The Mrs. Cocaine story is the definitive scandal of our time, a cautionary tale of what happens when you bet against the wrong man and your own history comes back to collect the debt. Do you think the Harvey family can ever recover from these Mrs. Cocaine allegations? Or is this the final chapter of their empire? Does Michael B. Jordan's silence make him the ultimate victor in this power struggle, or should he have spoken out sooner? And most importantly, do you believe Marjorie Harvey's past should be fair game now that it's affecting the public image of a family values brand? This story is far from over, and the truth is still being unraveled, one federal file and one Oscar win at a time. The reckoning is here, and the Harvey household will never be the same. Drop your theories in the comments and let's discuss the fallout of the century. Like, comment, and subscribe to stay tuned as we follow every lead in this developing investigation. The truth is coming out, and we are just the ones holding the magnifying glass. Talk soon. This brings us to the ultimate question that the Harvey household is desperately trying to avoid. Is this the end of an era? Can Steve Harvey's $100 million uplift business truly survive the weight of a past that includes federal scrutiny, presidential pardons, and the Mrs. C. Caine legacy? We are witnessing a historic collapse where silence is louder than any motivational speech, and Michael B. Jordan's Oscar win has become the ultimate receipt for a family that allegedly thought they were untouchable. Now, I want to hear from you because the community's voice is what keeps these investigations alive. Do you think Marjorie's past should have stayed in the past? Or is it fair game now that it's clashing with their public brand? Was Michael's silence on that stage the ultimate act of class? Or was it a calculated warning shot that the Harvey empire is about to crumble? And most importantly, who do you think will be the next one to break their silence? Laurie, Jim Townsend, or will Steve finally be forced to answer for the house of cards he's built? The truth is unraveling one headline at a time, and we are just getting started. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and see the evidence before it gets scrubbed from the internet, you know what to do. Smash that like button if you believe in accountability, and hit subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss our next deep dive into the secrets Hollywood is trying to hide. Drop your most unfiltered theories in the comments below. I'll be reading and hearting the most insightful ones. The reckoning is here, and the world is watching. Talk soon.